Hey!
Oh, how's it going?
Woohoo!
I got
We
my
are
Twitch muted, so
live.
let me know if audio problems are a thing. But we're here and we're having tea and we're ready to discuss some lore. I think we're in the process of
Alright.
fixing
Wait,
the
there's a tea
Twitch
party?
stream title.
When did
Yeah,
you see
yeah.
this?
Vincent's gonna have a lot of tea by the end of this. I don't think he's gonna know what to do with it. So yeah, we're here to celebrate the end of the final chapter of Effigy Incubator, the last chapter of research. There's been 12 chapters across 12 months, and we're going to first just discuss the story so far and all the reveals that have happened along the way, because it's been pretty cool. This was a surprising update, honestly. I didn't expect the amount of lore and story to be produced out of it, so I've enjoyed it personally, and I know a lot of other people have as well. So, and Vincent's been a cool character to get to know along the way. So yeah. Um, does anyone have anything they want to say, or we can start discussing the chapters?
Yeah, it's been honestly a really good event to have just as a monthly thing, being able to look forward to the lore of the month. And it's a really engaging storyline as well. I am really attached to this one character. Just playing out an entire arc over a year, just for the sake of one character. These are the stories RuneScape can do, and I love it.
Yeah, it's been great. And that's the thing. It's a lot of people have complained about the drip feed approach, where you have to come back each month and remember to do it. And if you miss a month, I can understand that would be annoying, but it's had this natural progression with the research. It feels like we're actually doing research because it's month by month we're getting an update. So I've personally enjoyed that, and it's given me something to look forward to each month too. Yeah.
Surprise! You can use time as an element in your storytelling, and it works.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess unless anyone else has something they want to bring forth, I guess we'll go over like just the chapters and just like kind of do a previously on Effigy Incubator. I'll do it by talking to Vincent directly about your research.
I do love everyone's still calling him Vincent.
Vincent,
Still calling
he's
him
much to his non-amusement, probably.
That
Oh,
was
Vincent.
Aurora originally.
It's excellent.
Yeah, the Effigy Incubator release stream, there was this mystery character that they weren't actually revealing, and everyone was saying, I bet it's the Cinderfast, I bet it is. And over time, Surge Aurora renamed him to Vincent, and it caught on instantly.
Yeah, it's been an instant hit, and it just spread everywhere. Oh, before we go, I forgot to introduce everyone. We've got Questscaping here, sitting in the chest. We've got Kebab Thief with the bat wings. We've got Diana here, and we've got Darkest Night, who just disappeared. And I think also in the call with us is Spy Human. And is there anyone else who was a late join? No, that's everyone. Alright, cool. And I'll just post this as well. Alright, so, first chapter. So far, the effigies have been able to piece together relatively little information of value. Mostly at the moment, the stronger emotions and obsessions have all I've been able to pick up. I'm terrible at reading dialogue sometimes. You can likely guess the subject. His unrelenting hatred for the Elder Gods, his eternal fury at Jas, and her cruelty. I don't think he sees the parallels between the two of them, and I think he would hate me for implying it. But just as Jas sees only the interests of she and her sisters, so too did my father only ever consider the kin. Both of them regard other species with dismissive contempt and won't consider the impact of their actions on others. Still, whilst I do relish pointing out my father's flaws, I am here with a purpose. Sadly, I have uncovered little at the moment. We will need to continue creating effigies, so I might leech further insight from this laboratory. If my father had any answers, they would be here. So, I love this first introduction here, because that comparison between Jas and Karapak is just, the poetry to it. The parallel, yeah. So this one it didn't really have any major reveals, but it was just a cool little insight here in terms of character.
Yeah, at the time it wasn't really much, but knowing what we know about the drinking now, what would you make of that now?
I mean, with the Nodon front, there's actually some of the Nodon mobs you can fight. They have these strips of cloth hanging down from them as banners with Dragonkin words on them, and there was actually... We were trying to translate them, and we were sure they were Jas until it turned out they were Karapak, because the first three letters are the same.
That's
Oh,
interesting. Because there was been discussion lately with the recent update of the node in front. Do the node on know that their general is Kerapak, or like because they're in a dream and they think that they're fighting the Elder Gods, do they think that Kerapak is someone else? So it's an interesting question. I was thinking like maybe they think because it's the node on, maybe they believe Kerapak is Varanus and that's part of the dreamscape, but hasn't really been mentioned yet.
My thought process when I read this again like the other day, I was thinking about different creeds, like the Orgra, for example. They don't really hold contempt for other races. They more want to study them, but they also want to learn from them as well. So
Yeah.
they don't really call it contempt.
So I guess it's more like it's more of a dactyl thing, I guess, to think. It's hard to say, but you know, you can definitely stylize the dactyls thinking themselves a bit with their infinite knowledge, believing themselves superior to the other races. Yeah.
Dactyl insights, definitely.
Because I think it's fair to say the other creeds have their own opinions of this, and I don't. It's hard to say, like, some of the dragon who we met, it's hard to, and then you got, I guess, but then saying that, we've got Senderpass, who completely different. He is a bit of an outlier, but he has respect for this world, and he didn't want to see this world destroyed, unlike his father. Yeah. I guess I'll move on to the next one.
Should we take turns reading it? Otherwise, I
go for it. That's it. Yeah, let's go for that. Because there'll be some big ones that come up that we might hang around on. This one didn't really have a lot of reveals, but so who wants to take number 2?
I'm happy to, if anyone else wants to. Vincent. I haven't actually unlocked all of them because I've been lazy about this, but I think I've got.
Oh, just I guess fair warning. There will be this guy is cosplaying Duriel. That's cool. There will be spoilers, of course. So if you wanted to naturally find out the chapters yourself, maybe type out at the right time. Otherwise, yeah, we're going through all 11 of them.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll do chapter 2.
Go for it.
Well, this is good. It turns out my father didn't completely abandon his research on the Ilyunka. It seems that he had some samples from Hannibus's blood. Whether taking knowingly or unknowingly is a question I'll leave to you. He spent some time analysing it in his old lab. I shall see if he had any notes, and I will return shortly.
Oh, and away he goes.
Cutscene. It took some searching, but I was able to discover fragments of notes my father left. Naturally, he kept most of his research inside the mental library of his. Never one to share knowledge, my father. But this is fascinating. I'm sure you've heard about the subject already, but let us speak a little of anima. Anima is the living energy of the planet, indeed of the universe. It is the source of magic and it is what the Elder Gods feed upon. Think of it a bit like the air around all of us, invisible yet vital. Like air, all life absorbs anima throughout their life. It keeps the body active and vital. We absorb it through food, through breathing, and to a lesser extent through simple ambient absorption. It appears that the Ilyunka were incredibly inefficient at absorbing anima. From what my father could determine, they only take in a tiny fraction of the anima from what they consume, and barely any ambient anima is absorbed. There's a lot of A's in that sentence. It goes a long way to explain why they would just be suffering fertility issues. As a species, they are just inefficient. Fascinating. I will have to see what knowledge I can glean.
Okay, so yeah, this was wasn't the biggest reveal, but definitely one that kind of set the direction of where we're headed. It's the Ilyunka. The problem is they can't absorb anima very well, and this is why, potentially why they're having infertility issues. So,
I love the descriptions of anima here.
Yeah,
what a fitting one for Dianima to be reading, eh?
So appropriate. And I guess this also acted as a bit of a recap, similar to what they did in Azanadra's quest, how it introduced a lot of things we already knew, but sort of set it on the table and very clearly about what the Elder Gods and how the eggs work and so on.
Yeah. So I guess this information was given in Desperate Measures.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
It's nice to recap again.
A little bit of a recap.
The thing I really like about this one is that you can see how similar Visendathuf is to Kerapak.
Yeah, in his mannerisms of explaining things. You mean?
And they're both scientists. They're both scientists, and they're both. they're both like, you know, knowledge seekers in their own ways.
Yeah, it is. It's cool to see, despite how vastly different they are in terms of morals. It's cool to see the similarities. Yeah.
And Vicinitas definitely describes it in a different way than the way I feel Karapak would. He'd probably describe it mechanically, functionally, but he has almost a romanticized view of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it's like Karapak is the scientist. He's cold, he's clinical. He's passionate about it. There's no doubt about that. But it's his life's work. Whereas with Vicinitas, if I can get the words out, there's that element of passion to it. There's a genuine yearning for knowledge, and there's a passion for the cause he's researching for.
Yeah.
I think the difference is Vicinitas is curious, while Karapak has, I think Mod Raven discussed this in the Law Discord a little while ago, Karapak's been driven by this kind of mortal fear.
Yeah, I saw that recently, and I thought that was hit the nail. Yeah.
It's stripped out all the curiosity from me. He's just doing it for a purpose.
It's one out of desperation, yeah, and there is some urgency to that, and I guess you start forgetting about the joys and the curiosity when you've got more of a desperate purpose to be fixing things. As in anything we do, it's like, you know, if you've got to get something done and fast, and you're not really going to care about the particulars or actually enjoy what you're doing, you just want it done. So it's nice to see.
Desperate times, desperate measures.
Yeah, I know. It always comes back to that. But yeah, it's cool to see Vicinitas on the alternative. I guess now that the curse is gone, it's allowed Dragonkin like Vicinitas to maybe breathe a little bit more. And I think we were saying, you know, this is... You kind of wonder what were the Dactyl like before the curse, before they did all these abhorrent experiments and so forth. Like, surely they were a bit more normal, and I guess this is kind of what they used to be like, is you know, they just did things for the joy of discovery, maybe, potentially. Yeah. Chapter 3.
One second. Going back to chapter 2 there.
Yep.
I think the biggest thing that I've thought interesting about this, knowing Karapak what it's like and he wanted to hide a lot of his research, I was surprised he left his old lab intact.
This one here?
True.
Or his old lab in...
Not burning the evidence.
Yeah.
Then again, he was using it only up until recently, until his imprisonment.
True.
So
he hadn't really accounted for...
Even still, he would like try to destroy some of it at least, knowing what he's like.
Well, some of it did get destroyed in was it Desperate Measures? I mean, we did have to have Fog and Karos come rescue us. The roof was coming down.
True.
But yeah, I guess why didn't he, for confidentiality, why didn't he? I mean, Vicinitas says a lot of his biggest secrets were kept straight up in his mind.
I think the approach there, you could explain that by saying that how realistically did he think that possibility was?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, he's a very arrogant character, and he believes he is more intelligent, better than all the others, so he probably didn't even consider that someone else would come looking for his work.
It was, yeah, exactly that. I think all security was in place until we came barging in and kind of ruined it, so he hadn't probably accounted for this interruption, and if he knew we were coming, maybe he would have made preparations, but we kind of threw a spanner in the works here.
He strikes me as the kind of person that he just wouldn't make those kind of contingency plans, because he wouldn't ever think to need it.
Yeah, yeah, it's true to say the arrogance is like, you know, he probably believed he was doing everything perfectly up until he wasn't.
That's a fair point.
In that same vein of arrogance, it might be a case of he might have thought they might have been able to find his research but not be able to interpret it in the way he intended. Like, it would have been useless to them, only he had the key to understand it.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't count on his son coming along. He's
exactly
literal
that.
Well,
so, I mean...
Shall we continue?
Yeah, let's go. Anyone else want to take a shot at reading?
I'll read the next one.
Yeah.
Oh, Dark can do it. I won't get up from my chest.
All good.
Okay. The knowledge I have gleaned from my father's research has raised a very interesting point about the Iliwanka. Specifically, regarding different examples of them we have seen from different worlds. Point your attention to the family unit of father and daughter. Namely, Hannibus and Vindicta. When you consider the two of them, what jumps out first? Mindless aggression and a desire to burn me alive for the glory of Zaros? Well, actually, in part, yes, I suppose. But let's go even simpler. Look at the difference in size. Vindicta, you'll notice, is larger than her father. At first I thought this was dysmorphism in the species, but that was proved incorrect when I discovered the knowledge of Sharagon. So, what's the main difference between the two? It's not training. Hannibus is a legendary dragon rider who was able to wipe out entire platoons. So it must be environmental, and the main difference is the world in which they grew up. And this insert name here is where it starts to get really interesting. My father's studies into the anima deficiency involved a few trips to Yaya. There he discovered that the anima of Yaya is, for lack of a better word, more pure. Filtered, even. The world is vibrant and full of life, but Luanka, as a sapient species, do not get the resonances, the nutrients, if you will, that creatures here might get. In short, their world is unsuited for a sapient life. This raises so many questions I will need to investigate further.
Alright, so that makes a distinction between plant life and non-sapient life and the sapient life. And so the non-sapient life is doing okay, but it's just as soon as you start getting into species like the Ilyanka, this is where it starts failing in terms of anima absorption. Also, Karapak taking field trips. That's kind of cool.
Science field trip!
Yeah! So I think this is the thing, as bad as Karapak is, I feel like this is one of his better qualities. Despite him abandoning this research, he was actually genuinely trying. Decide, if you will, whether it was for his own personal gain, and potentially it was, but I feel like he was genuinely trying to see if he could resolve this problem, maybe for his own arrogance again, of like, you know, he gets satisfaction out of being the one to work things out. But
I feel he probably feels entitled to being able to do things and know things.
Yeah, so it is a bit of an ego boost, I guess, but it's kind of cool.
This is from the One of a Kind ending, where he offered to help Hannibus. With
closely related.
And I think, as far as I can remember, his reasoning was it would benefit his own research.
So I guess this is
trying to break free of the curse. Like, that's why he did it.
Yeah, so I guess at the end of the day, it falls back to selfishness. And I guess again, what we mentioned earlier, it's like when you are trying to fix that problem, it's like you don't care about
selfish curiosity and arrogance himself.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand it, so he wants to understand it, so he can use it for himself.
Exactly. Yeah. But then we got Vicendefas quite honest in his pursuits here, so it's not really... I guess it's interesting for Vicendefas, but he doesn't really have anything to fix right now. He's free, and he's free to do what he wants, but he's just opting, volunteering to continue this, so that's kind of cool.
This is what he does out of his life, out of altruism.
Yeah, I love it.
Alright, next one?
The other thing that I was thinking of when I first read this is like, it's not just it was just the Ilyanka who was having fertility problems. I think it was Raven who said the girl was surviving perfectly fine as well.
That's the what were they compared to? They were compared to something else on Gillinor, weren't they? Dinosaurs.
The dragons.
Oh, dragons, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was
So
the 2 months, but apparently they thriving.
Yeah. So I guess it's like I hate to say it, but maybe it's like intelligence based.
Non-sapient life is doing perfectly fine.
I mean, so anima ties into souls, right? So maybe it's the strength of souls, and the stronger the soul is.
I've always considered it to be something to do with kind of consciousness.
Yeah.
And self-awareness, like conscious sapient life is affected by it to a greater extent, which is where it ties into magic and souls as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
animals are affected by it, but less so. But you know, a self-aware, like conscious creatures.
We do have an ascended plant, so keep that in mind.
Alright, shall we move on to the next one? We may have to shuffle things along.
Yeah. We'll keep going.
I can read this one?
Yeah, go for it.
Alright, getting up from the chest. God, he looks so bad on low detail.
Oh, no.
Right, just a sec.
I think it's number 4 we're up to.
Yep.
I'm gonna get a jiffy on, otherwise this will be we'll be here all night.
What a better way to spend your evening.
Discussing law is the best way to do it.
That's the spirit, yeah.
I'm going to turn the audio on because I love the audio of this area.
Yes, such lovely music. Alright, I'm there. So, Understanding the Ilyanka's poor anima absorption capabilities is much trickier than I had hoped. I have been studying countless effigies forged from remnants of my father's knowledge, and despite having his voice perpetually stuck in my head, I am none the wiser.
That sounds painful.
I could believe that my father just stopped investigating this. It's fascinating, and the possible applications of this knowledge could be far-reaching. If we found a way to improve anima absorption for all beings, what would that impact have? Could it reduce the need for food? Could it improve fertility? Could we unlock the magical potential seen in other species, such as the Icene, as creatures that aren't inherently magical? All conjecture, of course. I have no idea how the Icene magic capabilities work. But I was right. My father didn't just abandon this knowledge, although he did seem to focus less and less on the implication for the Ilyanka.
Ah, there we go.
Naturally, he turned his research where it always goes, focused back on the Dragonkin, and how to make us more powerful. I have discovered hints towards something called Project Phoenix, but I will need more time to investigate further.
Oh, innocence. Oh no.
Project Phoenix, it always spells out good things.
Mm-hmm.
Sinister names.
So yeah, I guess, and this is an interesting point, there's a lot more that could be done with this research, and gosh, you went over quite a bit here. I guess it's the idea of putting it beyond just the Ilyanka, and I think Vicendepas is still entirely focused on the Ilyanka and fixing that problem first, but he's kind of seeing the what else can be done, and I guess the value in this research, and probably wondering why his father dropped it.
Generalizing for all species.
Yeah. I guess, you know, there is so much value in it, but I guess, again, Karapak dropped it because maybe at the time it wasn't useful for fixing the main problem of the curse and the Dragonkin and fixing Project Phoenix. So, yeah.
Shuffle along.
See,
Let's.
when this first one come out, I actually thought it related to the actual Phoenix.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of theories
Yeah.
going around, and it definitely, to me, I wasn't sure about being the literal Phoenix, but I knew it meant something about rebirth or
Yeah.
coming back after death, but I was honestly quite clueless otherwise. I just had no idea
Yeah.
what
I had
specifically
this
it would
idea in my head that at the end of the third age, Karapak himself attacked the Phoenix, and that's how we have the current one.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
5? Anyone else?
I'll take this one. Of all of my father's secrets, this one appears to be the most guarded, Project Phoenix. He seems to have kept this project away from his books and even closely guarded in his own mind. What I do know is that it's a recent project. It seems like this is something he's been working on long ago.